Good morning, knitters. It's Maggie from Knitting in the Park here. So I'm just grabbing some much needed coffee. After that exciting Game of Thrones episode last night. Did anyone else stress knit through Game of Thrones? I did. I actually had to put my knitting down halfway through the episode because I was getting so agitated that I was really afraid I was going to just blow up my entire pattern along with everything else that was, blowing up and dying on, no spoilers, I promise. But I wanted to stop in and chat with you quickly because I realized that even with the first pattern I did with Darn Good Yarn, I never actually stopped to review their yarn for you. I mean, I told you a lot about it in some of the videos that I was doing tutorial-wise, but I want to really just let you know how much I'm obsessed with this yarn. So typically when we think about yarn, it's sheep to shawl kind of a thing, or it's synthetic, where it's woven, it's then shipped to a store, it sits there for a while, and we buy it, and it gets to us, and we start working with it. The yarn that Darn Good Yarn uses, this is tongue twister before I get my coffee in, it's had a life before it gets to us. So it's lived as a sari or some other garment before it comes to them and gets upcycled into yarn. In this case, I'm using their hand beaded silk, and it's just absolutely stunning. It's so soft. It's hard to believe that this was ever another garment or used in another life. It feels just like any other silk yarn I've used, and I did knit my wedding shawl out of silk, so I have some experience there with the yarn. But it's gorgeous. It feels luxurious. It's amazing. So how is it made? They get the saris in. Women in their factory in India break it down and hand spin it into this gorgeous yarn while also beading it. So this is hand beaded as well. And while this does look like a tiny, little ball of yarn, it is lace weight. So it's the yardage. It's there. It's at least 275 yards. And if you look on my Instagram, I have a picture of my pie shawl in progress. That's just a little over 2 skeins of yarn. So you're getting decent yardage for what you're purchasing, which is always important to me because I hate paying a lot of money for a little bit of yarn. But like I said, so my points, the quality is there. The price tag is definitely worth it. One of these skeins right now is $28, but if you use my code Knitting in North Park, but I can save you 15% there. Their packs of this yarn is on sale. So typically we are not going to buy a single skein of yarn, right? So you can get this in preset packs of 7 and 3 skeins, but you can obviously do whatever you want, mix and match. The colors are beautiful. I like this is the Tidal Pool colorway, which is really nice. It ends up being less of a self-striping yarn and more of just this gorgeous kind of mashup of blues and purples and all of these different, I don't even know. They're beautiful. It ends up being just kind of a gradient. Like the whole shawl is going to be just this gradient of these different blues to purples and all of the myriad of different little pops of color in between. So I'm really excited about it. It's definitely a joy to work with. It's not rough on, it's silk, so it's not going to be rough on your hands, but it holds up. I found a very limited number of misspins in the yarn, so in no place has this been knotted and required me to stop, cut out the knot, break the yarn. So the number of joins that I have will simply be the number of skeins that I've worked with. You're not getting the frustration there where I get it. There will be some times in most yarns where the fibers, during the machine spinning process break. And I think most companies say up to 3 in a skein is acceptable, but I haven't found any in this. There may be times where a single fiber has kind of gone awry, but if you just keep knitting, it totally blends in, and it's not been a problem for me. So the quality for me, which is always very important, whether I'm keeping the shawl or giving it away, is here with Darn Good Yarn, and it's here with their hand beaded silk. So I've had offers to tell you guys about yarns that I've not knit with myself, and I'm not comfortable doing that. I'm only going to tell you what I've actually had the experience with, worked with, knit with, worn, washed, blocked, all of that kind of experience, out of respect for you and out of respect for the projects that we're making in this craft that we call a passion. So you're going to find this yarn recommended in my new and upcoming pie shawl, which will be on, Darn Good Yarn is sponsoring this shawl. So this is going to be, I'm sure they'll release it as a free pattern Friday, but you'll be able to buy the pattern as a kit too. So you'll get all the yarn that you need, the 4 skeins of tidal pool or whichever hand beaded silk yarn you choose to go with. There's a gorgeous white that I want to get my hands on too, but I swear my lip has a hole in it and I'm afraid to wear white, so I've been staying away from it because it's just that exquisite. I also did not wear a white wedding dress. This is my aversion to white. It's actually a very similar color to the shawl, actually. Some of the blues in it. But yeah, so Darn Good Yarn, amazing. I'll put a link where you can also get the take you right to it, so you don't have to search around and look for it. Darn Good Yarn. It's darn good, and it's yarn. And you can get it with discount. And it's upcycled. So if you've been watching my channel, I've been sharing some of the ways that I also try to live sustainably, outside of knitting, talking about with some of the products that I've been bringing into the home, essential oils, natural toilet paper, those kinds of things. Darn Good Yarn takes saris and garments that would be in landfills and upcycles them, so that it gives it a new life. And for me, that's extremely important, especially in countries like India, where the recycling isn't quite what it is in the United States. I mean, we kind of stink at it here too, but a lot of our stuff ends up in those countries being as a way for us to outsource it. And so I'm trying to be really cognizant of where the garments that I wear, when they're no longer something that I'm using, where they're going to end up. And so for me to be able to get and use a yarn that is transforming something that already served its purpose, served its life, is awesome. What else about Darn Good Yarn? They work and support awesome knitters all over the place, like me. So it's definitely they're definitely creating a community of knitters, and that's super important. They're helping a lot of people fall in love with this great, I could call it a craft or an art, I call it a passion. Women owned and based here in the US, and they're not one of the huge guys, so it's important to support them and keep our fiber options diverse. And I just love what they're doing. Obviously, this is another video that I'm doing, but like I said, I kind of teased and mentioned about their yarn in other videos, tutorials, so I wanted to pop on here and do a review. Okay, this will be, let's see if I can get to the end here to show you without pulling this all off my needle. This will be what's called a pie shawl. It's my first pie shawl, but it's going to turn into a true half circle shaped shawl, and just I can't wait to get this off my needles. I mean, it's a joy to work on this project, but I'm really excited. It's my first pie shell. I'm not my last. It's been really fun, so I'm sure I'm going to have lots more patterns to share and exchange with you guys. So please subscribe so that I can share those with you, so I can share things that I've learned. I'm planning on trying some new skills and maybe trying to show how humorously I fail at them. Lots of stuff. Yeah, so lots of stuff is going to come. All knitting related or knitting life related. So yeah. Thanks for spending some time with me. I'm going to go finish my coffee and fully recover from Game of Thrones and make sure I didn't screw up my pattern while knitting during this show.